get ready because everything is about to change. There's a new way of living life and doing business that will blow your mind. This is a podcast all about the timing of life and the timing of success. It's what we call the Right on Time life. And you are listening to the Right on Time podcast with Amber McHugh. Today's Right on Time podcast guest is someone I have known for a while. We're going to share how we connected in this podcast episode and the ways that we have connected over the years in this episode. But you are going to love this if you are thinking about creating change in your life right now, if you're wondering what's next, and if you're wondering how to go from the turmoil and the problems that you see to creating opportunities. Rachel's got some incredible stories of how people went from thinking they needed to reduce their pay to seeing increases and raises and more income coming in their lives through some of the strategies that we are going to talk about. In addition, Rachel's going to share her journey from going from full-time to having a side hustle, to that side hustle becoming her full-time gig, to now having her full-time business and another side hustle by following all the right on time nudges that come her way. More officially, Rachel Carey is a certified energy leadership coach that focuses on helping leaders and entrepreneurs to rise and find their signature leadership approach, meet the demands of today's results-oriented environment, and avoid burnout. Rachel has a background as a senior level HR professional and is an ICF certified coach. She specializes in energy leadership coaching, career strategy, and mindfulness practice teaching. We're going to talk about a couple of resources throughout this episode, and I wanted to give them to you now in case you wanted to write them down before you hear them. Most specifically, we're going to talk about the Modern CEO, which you can check out at ambermchugh.com/modern CEO. In addition, Rachel mentions a resource near the end of the episode that I want to give you the link for now in case you are driving and you've got a minute to write this down or make a note before you head out. That link that Rachel's going to share later is emerginglotuscoaching.com/before you quit. Yes, before you quit, you want to check out this resource Rachel has prepared for you. Can't wait to dive into this episode. Here we go. Rachel, welcome to the Right on Time podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Oh my gosh, I am pumped. And we're diving right in. You know, yesterday, Rachel, you sent me you were cleaning up documents, you're cleaning things up, and you sent me your 2016 goal card. So we're just diving right in at the beginning of this journey. And Rachel, tell us about, well, first of all, for anyone who's wondering, a goal card is something we talk about inside the Modern CEO and in the Planathon, where you document and keep in front of you, what am I working toward? What's my goal? So you can align what you're going after with your subconscious. So Rachel, you sent me your goal card and we're going to start there.
Yeah. So in 2015, I started my business as a side passion project. And I was working with teens on figuring out what they wanted to be when they grew up. And I kept finding more and more people saying, well, can you help me as the adults in the teens world, right? Well, I want that. And everything kind of morphed. But it was so crazy to me looking back because when I started that business, somebody introduced me to a program you were having locally, and that led me into the Planathon, which led me to do that goal card. And here we are, like, I don't know, what's that, 6 years later, still rolling in this. And I know for sure that if I hadn't been in that world and in that community that just kept motivating and helping me grow, that I don't know that I would have stuck it out. I was so comfortable in the corporate space, you know, this was just meant to be a side passion project.
So you, at the time that we met, and the time that you started your business, you had a full-time job.
I had a full-time job. I was working in human resources. I have about a 20-year background in HR as a senior level professional, and was really, really a workaholic. My daughter and I were talking about that yesterday. Workaholic, loved to work. But there were some things that I didn't know then that I know now that I use to help my clients in finding their passion in their everyday instead of just having to have that side thing, you know?
Oh, so you went from corporate job to side hustle with teens. And it was something that strikes me as we're going to talk about this journey and how it unfolds and opportunities for everyone to connect with Rachel, because you're definitely going to want to connect with Rachel and be in her world. But you're following signs and you're adapting and you're kind of shifting, which is one of the top traits that we talk about for leaders. Like, we've got to be adaptable, because change, as we know, as we are all well experienced in after the last 2.5 years, keeps on coming. And as leaders, it comes faster, but you follow all these signs and these nuggets. Tell us a little bit more about how you went from full-time job to side hustle becoming your full-time. And then what else? There's so much more to this.
Oh my gosh. So in 2015, I had an anxiety attack at work. That's where this really started, and just melted out on my desk because I wasn't managing stress well. So stress led me to getting support on stress management, which led me to mindfulness, which led me to then seeking out a change in my career, which led me to my passion project, right? Helping teens. I was volunteering already at the high school locally. That led very naturally into doing that. And then, like I mentioned earlier, all of the adults in those teens world were saying, well, can you help me with this? And I was like, absolutely. It's the same process, maybe different language, but same process. And so we started doing a little bit more there. And as time went on, I realized through one of the things that I got with Modern CEO, you gave out a time budget. I still use the time budget to this day. And I blow people's minds when I'm like, this is how much time I have to dedicate to this thing, right? And it's because I have that time budget. And that was so key, because I realized in the corporate environment, I was working for a global organization, and I was supporting the HR department I was in supported the North America companies. And my position itself kept growing. I was the go-to person. So even other people in my role, when they were hitting difficult times, I was pulled in. So it's like, I think I would say things like, my plate has become a platter, or I am a one-man juggling circus, and I'm currently juggling knives. Like, it's just like, it just felt like really a lot. Yeah. And through that journey, uncovering what were the key skills that I loved, what brought me joy, what gave me energy, and what took away my energy. Big difference when you start looking at things like that. What were my values? If you asked me in 2015 what my values were, I probably couldn't have answered you. If you ask me on the spot right now, I can absolutely answer you top 5, right? I just roll it. And that's so key. I think that we don't do that. Anyway, long story short, we roll from this own personal self-discovery to now helping other people who are looking to make a change in corporate, in their own career, also helping those people that have said, you know what, corporate's not for me. I'm going to run my own business. And now I am bringing on teams, but how do I manage that, right? And all at the end of the day, avoiding burnout for either one. Let's align ourselves to roles that bring us joy. Work is such a big part of our lives, but we should be enjoying it, not burning out.
So good. I love this. And then the journey continues. And so you're doing what you just described now full-time. Your business is full-time, but you have another side hustle.
I do. So I, through my discovery with mindfulness to help me with my own stress management, I was introduced to a program through Mindful Schools on teaching children from K through 12 mindfulness. And I took it because my kiddo was having some behavioral spins, having a hard time with big emotions. And later we had the ADHD diagnosis among some others, and it all makes sense. But I started using this to help him. And then I started going in and teaching it in other places. And the pandemic hit and things just kind of hit pause. And so I thought that was, what it was. And it wasn't really looking at it. But since things have gotten back, people are out and living life again, the demand for mindful kids is huge. So I've gone to the library, I've gone to yoga studios, I'm being invited into speech pathologist offices to work with their kiddos. Like, I never would have thought this would be what it has become. And so, yeah, I have my full-time job doing what I love and a passion project doing what I love. Very different, but very similar. All of them folding in this way of being more intentional about the way we live.
Yeah. Oh man, there are so many right on time moments in here. You're like, okay, I guess that hit pause. You've still got other things going, but right on time, like we're kind of just flowing with it. And then it's back right on time and you step into it. There's something else that I feel is so right on time too. Can you tell us about wind down?
Wind down is my other how many passion projects my wind down kind of started up because I follow a practice of pre-week planning. I think pre-week planning is so important and it goes right in line with a lot of what we do even in Modern CEO. I picked up on this through corporate and it was something I trained as an HR professional to leaders in corporate so that we could stay on track and make sure that we were hitting our goals, right? And it's the same thing that we hit in Modern CEO, where we're looking at the beginning of the week, at the end of the week, and monthly, how staying aligned. But with wind down, it's a group of us that are really just holding each other accountable to doing that pre-week planning. So we get together and we hang out on Friday mornings. Right now it's at 11 Eastern, and it is an amazing community where we all connect, we support each other, we help each other through the blocks. But really at the end of the day, it's all about, I have a meeting with this person, so I'm going to show up, as opposed to I'm going to blow that off and do with it later. It's an accountability that we have to each other to do this. And we chat, and then we spend about 25 minutes just all quiet, updating our to-dos and our calendars, syncing everything up, avoiding things where they're back to back. Like I had something that came up this week where I realized I had a doctor's appointment. There's no travel time booked in, so I had to move some things around. I wouldn't have seen that in time if I didn't have that pre-week planning. And this just helps reduce anxiety, and it allows you to take all of that stuff and put it down Friday so you can enjoy your weekend and have that personal life that the weekend usually allows for, right? And then step into Monday just ready to rock and roll. There's no like, what am I going to do? You open your book, it's already planned out for you. So you're able to give yourself that break. It's really an awesome group.
You know, what you said about reducing anxiety is so true. I find, now that I live life right on time, I used to worry about, okay, gosh, what if I'm double booked? Even the day before, if I'm like, I do a little wind down version every day, really, like, okay, looking ahead, what's tomorrow? So I go into the day prepared and not surprised. I know if I need to get ready or if I can be in sweats, if I've got anything that's double booked and I need to adjust. That doesn't happen a lot. But what I find is that the anxiety, when I think proactively, when I step into that space on the Friday before the week or the day before, yes, anxiety melts away. I remember right on time. And Rachel, the other thing that I so oftentimes find is that when I get intentional about it, I'm like, I'm not going to worry about this. I might see something that's 2 weeks out. I'm like, ooh, this looks like it might be a conflict. 9 times out of 10 now in my life, something else happens in the universe that resets my calendar for me. But I just look at it. I'm like, okay, I'm looking ahead. We're going to have to do something about this. Not necessarily me. Somebody needs to do something about this. I don't say anything to anyone, but it just kind of unfolds beautifully. Do you ever experience that?
This morning, all the time, but specifically this morning, even. So I still have some work where I do some consulting work within corporate, helping on an HR part, like building leadership programs and things like that. And one of my clients has had some turnover in the HR department. They need a little bit more support from that knowledge base. I'm checking and asking questions, or can you handle this? Because I don't know the answer. And that spiked up so much yesterday that I had a meeting scheduled with that same company this morning. And I was like, I spent so much time yesterday. I need to move this because I need to do the things that I originally planned to do yesterday. This was in my head when then I got the message from that person that I had the meeting with going, I might have to move this. My meeting's running over. And I was like, oh, perfect.
Perfect. It works out. And I think this is like a sample of it working out in a microcosm of our schedules. But the other thing, like, okay, you were following your joy and you set one intention, which led to the next intention, which led to the next. And we just kind of follow it. And this is like the right on timeness of it is you're not sitting back and be like, oh, something will work out. No, I'm setting an intention. Yeah. I'm going to step into action on the things that I can impact.
Yeah. Well, this is where it gets all into that energy leadership side, which, is the type of coaching I do. And so what we're talking about when it's that stress, anxiety, spin, we're in what's called a catabolic energy, which is really a contracting energy. It's really great for fight or flight, get out of something. But when you're sitting in that too long, you start attracting other heavy, denser, that you're attracting more of that energy. Whereas if you find a way to move through those things quickly when you need to, and then pull yourself back up into what's called anabolic energy, which is the right on time mindset, you know it's going to work out. We need to address something, whoever we is, we out into the universe, right? And then it starts to all fall into place, right? I sit and with my gratitude journal, and I'm like, I'm so grateful I get to do mindful kids. I love teaching these kids these things, and heard this story about this one child who's on the spectrum, and his mom wrote back to this owner of the studio that I did mindful kids for. And she said he was having a meltdown the other day, and he just stopped and went into a mindful pose and like was doing breathing and then collected himself. She's like, I've never seen this before. And it's like to know that child found a coping mechanism for big emotions, right? It's so huge. And for the mom to be able to see it, I'm so grateful that I'm able to do those things. And then I told you, mindful kids is taking off. Why? I don't know. It's just crazy. It's right now because I'm having all of these moments where I'm stepping more and more into that anabolic energy that's attracting more of that good. So really, when we get down to time management, when we get down to work-life balance, at the end of the day, all of these things that we're talking about, it's really energy management. How can I get more of that good, right? That good energy. And how can I, mitigate the more stressful situations? You're not going to be able to cut out stress in life, but you can shift your perspective about it and then have it where it doesn't suck you down, where you're like me in 2015, smacked down on the desk at work going, I need help, right? Like you're able to navigate things in a whole different way. So it's really, at the end of the day, all energy leadership. Right on time is all about staying in that good space, right?
In the good, stay in the good. I was listening to a story yesterday. I can't remember where this was or what podcast it was, but it was about, right, which energy are you in, and are you focused on problem, or are you focused on solution? And in that scheduling example, right, I can be like, oh my gosh, this is a big problem. Who am I going to move? Oh, I don't want to cancel on them. What am I going to do? Versus what's the solution here? Like, okay, who can I move? Oh, maybe I don't need to move anyone. Maybe they'll move themselves. Oh, when something I like to do when I get into that space of like, all right, I need to find a solution, but is this a solution I need to find right now? Nope. I'll set a date. Right? I need to figure this solution out by 1 week out, because then I'm 1 week from the meeting or the conflict. So I'll give everybody lots of notice and heads up. And oftentimes this is what I find, like, oh, it's all resolved by the day anyway. Like it just happened. But what are some strategies that you recommend to move from that catabolic energy to the anabolic, or to move from, okay, problem, this isn't working, to no, we're moving forward. It's right on time.
It's so funny because in Modern CEO, you refer to flipping the pancake, right? Flip it over to the other side, right? And Bruce Schneider, who's the founder of IPEC, which is where I studied to learn leadership, energy leadership. He gives out, as we're training, he gives us out these stones. One side says problem and the other solution. So you're literally flipping the stone or flipping the pancake. So there's this thing that's happening in that, right? And so it's flipping it over. And so what I say to everybody, without having to know what all of the levels of energy are in the energy leadership matrix, let's call it, right? Without needing to know all of the details of that, at the end of the day, the thing that I give that's easy to remember for everybody is take a moment, notice that you're having emotions, and notice where they are as like kind of your clue. I'm feeling anger, or my chest is feeling tight. What am I feeling like I need to protect myself in? My throat's feeling tight. What am I not saying? Whatever, like those kinds of clues are happening. Take a moment, come back to yourself, get connected to yourself instead of projecting out and what's happening to you. Connect to yourself to see what is going on within you. And then once you're connected back to yourself, ask, what's the opportunity here? And that is always, that question flips the pancake every single time. Every single time. What's the opportunity? Moving without judgment into curiosity, and then flipping the pancake by saying, what's the opportunity here?
Move without judgment into curiosity. Could you speak to that a little bit more? Like, how do I know if I'm like in that space of judgment versus being curious and open?
Judgment's where it's, this is right and this is wrong. Curiosity is, what's going on in here? I'm wondering, I'm noticing this. What could be the possibility in it? It's a different energy, right? So judgment's really heavy in that catabolic, right or wrong, this or that, you have wronged me. We're now in a fight. I have to win. Like this mindset of judgment, right? So I was very much in my judgment catabolic. I get there frequently when thinking of my HOA. Who doesn't? HOAs are always like we all have them. And so today I was in my catabolic judgment of this is the wrong way of doing it, because they are very much about like the big brother policing of the neighborhood, and everybody should we come together as a community and we're going to like write up each other and tell on each other. And it's like, my idea of community is very different. And so instead of going, oh, what's the opportunity here? I always start out in judgment of this is absolutely wrong. This is terrible, right? So that's judgment. Whereas then when I notice that I'm in judgment, right? Because building the awareness is first. When I notice that I'm in judgment, and then I come back into myself, just like I tell all my clients, right? I come back to myself, what's going on here? I'm angry because this isn't how I want to live, and they're influencing me, and I feel like I have no power over it, right? I move into all of those things that are happening, those thoughts that are brewing with this emotion that's building, that's causing me to have judgment. And then I go, what's the opportunity here? And Amber, we're going to have a big old block party and build community the way that I want, with nothing to do with the HOA. Like, right, that's what we're going to do, because we want community to be the people that are supporting each other, that are having fun with each other. We noticed a woman who had her boxes building up on her steps, and the rain had been pouring on it. And instead of writing the HOA to complain, which is the method that they like to follow, we instead reached out and said, hey, are you okay?
Yeah.
You're good. She's single. She lives alone. Are you okay? The boxes need to go out back. Do you need help doing that? Are they heavy? Okay, let's help. Let's be a community. And so that's the way that I can best give from my own personal example of things that happened very recently, of judgment to moving to curiosity. So it's like, I'm angry because they have this powerful position and they are controlling community to mean one thing that I disagree with. It goes against my value system of integrity and communication and connection and compassion, right? These things that are so important to me.
Yeah.
That goes against all my values. That's why I was angry. That's why I judgment. They were in direct conflict to my value system. So instead of getting angry and staying in that judgment space, I become aware that that's what's happening. And then I say, okay, then what satisfies that? Let me build the community. Let me lean into that side with the other people that agree with that definition of community, and start bringing more opportunity of that.
Oh, goosebumps. What a great example and story. And yeah, like we have so many opportunities to flip that pancake. For anyone who's wondering, like, what's this pancake flipping thing they're talking about? This is something we talk about regularly inside the Modern CEO that I originally learned from the Delivering Happiness team. And it's this idea that when I make pancakes, at least I'm not gonna say when you make pancakes, when I make pancakes, usually one side, the first side I'm cooking, burns, but you flip it over and you've got a fresh start. And when I'm serving those pancakes up to my kids, I am showing them the perfect side, not my burnt side, right? So we, as modern CEOs, as people who are creating change and going after goals in a different, more joyful way, we're professional pancake flippers. Like, where is the opportunity in this? And this is where we innovate. This is where we step into what Rachel has described on her journey of, no, okay, I want a passion project. I want to find some joy in a side hustle. Side hustle becomes full-time. Then you layer in other side hustles. And the other thing, Rachel, that I love about your journey and what you create is you've learned, like, okay, how am I going to build this business? How do I want to build this business? The mechanics, as well as like value alignment. Like, I remember when you were starting Wind Down, and it's like, okay, we're just going to do this. Like, let's just try this. Does anybody want to hang out? I'm just going to go live. And I remember being on your first Wind Down, like, I'm just going to hang out, give hearts, cheer you, like, because it was so beautiful, the community you create, and also the way you approach stepping through each of these opportunities.
Well, what's so funny though, let's say anchor into that and just kind of sell our whole point home, is that I started wind down, one, as accountability for myself, but really because I was hiding. We had lots of conversations, you and I, about me hiding and not wanting to be visible. I love doing what I do, but the marketing side of it and stepping out, like I'll have conversations like this anytime, but like stepping out and really like owning it, I was really hiding from during that period of time. And so I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do this. And we stepped into it. So what an amazing way to flip that pancake, right? To flip it from I'm hiding to what's a way that I feel comfortable stepping out and supporting. Oh, I thrive in building community. And that's, I love to serve, and I will not hide from that. Right. So there's that exactly is how wind down kind of came, was while I follow my passion projects and I follow those energies and I'm learning the mechanics, I'm not a natural born entrepreneur. Modern CEO has been an amazing thing to keep not only teaching me the tips and the tricks and the tools, but then also the community that's within that to support those areas that each one of us has those things that we're not as strong at. And we lean out on each other and support each other. It's always been really beautiful in that community. So flipping the pancake and supporting each other in community is huge, right? Yeah.
Oh, it is huge.
The other thing though with judgment that kind of came to my mind is one of the ways that this judgment mindset can impact us, especially when we're navigating career. I had one client who came to me, career strategy has been huge since the pandemic, and now you have the great resignation, and everybody's basically, the pandemic was a catalyst, I think, to great change. It lifted the veil of the power dynamic of, oh, I have to do things this way. Oh, wait, no, I don't. Wait, hold on. It also exposed leadership gaps, right? There's such a huge opportunity for leadership development to operate in this way that is more compassionate and aligned and lifted in that more positive energy, right? But I've had more and more clients coming to me for career strategy, one of which was like, I want work-life balance, so I'm willing to take a pay cut to here. And I was like, whoa, why?
You don't have to do
There's
that.
this rule, this judgment that if I'm asking for work-life balance, then I can't have what I'm worth.
Yeah.
That was happening there, right? And I was like, what? No. So we navigated all of that. And at the end of it, not only did she get hired at a increased rate, but she also got an increase within 6 months of another 10 grand on top of it, while still having all of that work-life balance. No more weekends, no more late nights, no more crazy, like putting out fires that other people were doing because they were reactive, not proactive. She was able to go in and like build that life she wanted because she got clear on what it was and stood in her worth instead of thinking she had to give up something to get what she wanted. So
that's
great.
Incredible. Like way to move from judgment to curiosity and look for opportunities. And how often, right, are we doing that in businesses, in life? Like, oh, okay, I'll sacrifice this to have that. And certainly I will make compromises. I'm about the win-win. Like I am going for the win-win, but not win-lose. No, not win-lose.
Yeah. But that was definitely the power dynamic that existed. And I think that was so common within corporate for people to believe into that. And it's not necessarily the case. You just find an organization that has a similar value alignment to you and that is structured in a way that you get those values are met, as opposed to you have to then give up something in order to get it, which is so big.
Yeah, you've mentioned a few times, and I believe also, we talk about values, but can you describe sort of the importance of understanding your values and how one might go about that?
If you're like I was in 2015 and you don't know your values, you're living in conflict frequently and have no idea why. That's like really the basis to it, in my humble opinion. But what I have found is that when people get connected truly to what their values are, it's a compass and it can help guide you in making all sorts of decisions, even down to that time budget I was talking about earlier, right? There's only so much time in a day. There's only so much time you can give. I would like to volunteer for all of these organizations, but at the end of the day, I only have a certain amount of time I can dedicate to it. So being able to step in and be very clear on boundaries, which is very important to, I think, balancing your energy too, is saying, I would love to work on this project. This is how much time I have to give. You're very clear on it. And I'm able to align to this because I value this organization because it's aligned to my own values. So values become this compass. And then when you're talking career or you're talking about going into business for yourself, the skills are the map, right? So you've got the compass. Now you're moving through the map of, okay, how can I align my skills into a career that I will really enjoy doing, or into a business that I'll really enjoy doing. And one of the things, so when I start working with people on the career side, it is first, what are your values? Second, what are your skills? And they're always really surprised when I force them into telling me what are the skills they're really good at that they hate doing. Amber, I did payroll in my very first job out of college in HR, and I hate it. It is not on my resume. People are going to listen to this. That's fine. But it is not on my resume. Nobody needs to know, because I hated it. They thought I was going to be great because I have like an accounting degree and an HR degree. And so they're like, oh, she's going to be great at this. No, I hated it. I hate payroll. So the thing of it is I might be really good. And I think I shared in the group recently, somebody asked what was alignment to us, right? And I shared my story. And in one of the organizations I worked for, I'm really good with numbers, ace statistics, but I don't, my number one value is integrity. So manipulating statistics to the benefit of an organization without addressing the gaps and the problems, that was a problem for me. And so I started being in conflict, and I started hating my job all of a sudden, even though I was doing great at it, right? Getting all of the accolades. I hated it. And I didn't know why until I sat down and said, oh, I love statistics. I don't love the integrity issues. My values were underlying the conflict that was existing there. And by identifying that, then I could then either shift and not do that, or say, what's the opportunity here, and really start pushing to have that change to, okay, we will do this and get the numbers that we need, but we also need to address the gaps if we're going to continue doing this, right? Like, and really start pushing that direction. Being very clear on what's important. I think it boils down to knowing your values, then knowing your skills. And then the next thing is always, what did I hate about that last experience? I can avoid it, right? And how do I ask those questions? How do I make sure that they're not the same way, right? So like for the other person, it was about the other people being reactive. And so she was sucked into being reactive, whereas she'd rather be proactive. That was a value conflict that was happening. And so we then navigate, okay, that's important. So how do you find in organizations that they truly are proactive and they're not just selling you a bill of goods because you're interviewing, right? So it's long-winded answer, but values, I think at the end of the day, it is your compass. It is what you can root yourself into in whatever you do. And I find it even helps me with raising my kids. Like, I am having a big reaction to what you just did because you're in conflict to my integrity value. And that's a big value for me. So let's talk through this and why that matters for me. And then whether they pick up my values or not is up to them.
We're going to find out.
We'll see. I think I'm all right job with the adult one. We'll still work on the preteen.
Oh my gosh, Rachel, this is incredible. I am so grateful to you. We have had the opportunity to work together on things you're building, on things I am building. You've come in and worked on some HR activities with us and team coaching and energy leadership for our team. And if anyone else is thinking like, okay, I might need a little bit of this energy leadership magic for myself, for my team, and to be connected in some of these ways, where do people find you?
I am I'm on Facebook. I am on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn, and I have my website. So on all of them, my handle is Emerging Lotus Coaching, except for LinkedIn, where you find me at Rachel Carey McElwane. And because there's only one of those, right? That's a long name. And and then my website's emerginglotuscoaching.com. But we have everything from energy leadership for the individual to help develop skills, to help increase teams, assessments. We even have, like I've been working with some clients on building out their own personal leadership development program. But I'm really excited right now. We're going to be rolling out a career strategy group coaching, because while we have the Great Resignation and lots of people ready to make those big shifts, we are also seeing so much inflation that the cost of one-on-one coaching is a lot, right? It's a big investment. And so we said, what's the opportunity here? The opportunity is to develop a group program so more people can enter in and get all of this really great information at a more reasonable and budget-friendly cost, right? So we're starting that. That's actually rolling out here really, really soon. And for anybody that is like, you know what, I really want to quit. Amber, I just put together one of my favorite free downloads that I've ever created, which is the Before You Quit Pre-Resignation Checklist. It's my HR Insiders list on all of the things you need to know to make sure you are not walking away from money, and that you are protecting your money and your assets before you even give your notice to an organization. Too often I've seen people walk away, and they've walked away from PTO payout, which one person, it was 5 figures and it broke my heart because they didn't follow particular policies. Non-compete, non-disclosures, and the legalities that come into it. There's so many really good things there. So if anybody is interested in that, then, they just have to go to emerginglotuscoaching.com/before you quit and they can get this free download. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. emerginglotuscoaching.com/before you quit.
Yeah. So before you quit, start your business. Before you quit, jump to a different career, whatever it is, this is the must-have checklist. You have to do that.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love you. We'll link all of that up in the notes. Rachel, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We'll talk to you soon.
All right, take care. Bye.
Man, what a great episode. I always love speaking with Rachel. It's funny, Rachel and I shared throughout this episode the different spaces that we connect in, the Modern CEO, her Wind Down Friday events, as well as many other areas and ways that we've connected and worked together over the years. This all started, as Rachel mentioned, when we were living near each other and I had no idea. I don't know that we realized how close we were living. I was hosting a workshop in the area in Maryland where we were living. And then I saw that she signed up for the Planathon and then she joined us inside the Modern CEO, formerly named Freshly Implemented. And that's when I realized just how close we lived. Like, wait a second, we live in the same town? Wait a second, we live in the same community? Wait a second, we're like less than a mile from each other. So it is incredible how online connections become real world connections. And if you are looking for community, if you're looking for some of that connection as you build and grow your business and move forward to reach your goals, I absolutely want to invite you to stick around, subscribe to this podcast, but also stick around and become a part of our community. You can join me over on Instagram. My handle is simply Amber McHugh, and my website is ambermchugh.com. And I would love to be more closely connected with you as you go on this journey to move closer and closer and closer to reaching your goals right on time.